Hello and welcome back to my blog. On to chapter 3 of Russell H. Conwell's What You Can Do With Your Willpower, and I'm split it into two parts. It looks like he goes into examples of people. The biography of that great patriot and statesman, Daniel Manon of Venice, Italy, contains a very romantic example of the possibilities of will force. He was born in a poor quarter of the city. His parents were without rank or money. Venice in 1805 was under the Austrian rule and was sharply divided into aristocratic and peasant classes. He was soon deserted by his father and left to the support of his mother. He was a dull boy and could not keep along with other boys in the church schools. His mind labored as slowly as did the childhood intellects of many of the greatest men of history. Daniel seemed destined to earn his living digging mud out of the canals if he supported himself at all. No American boy can be handicapped like that. But the children who learn slowly learn surely, and history, which is but the biography of great men, mentions again and again the fact that the great characters began to be able to acquire learning late in life. Napoleon and Wellington were both dull boys, and Lincoln often said that he was a dunce through his early years. Daniel Manon seems to have been utterly unable to learn from books until he was 8 or 10 years old. But his latent willpower was suddenly developed to an unexpected degree when he was quite a youth. Kossuth, who was a personal friend of Manon, said in an address in New York that the American Republic was responsible for the awakening of Manon, and through him had made Italy free. It appears that an American sea captain, while discharging a cargo in Venice, employed Daniel as an errand boy, and when the ship sailed, the captain made Daniel a present of a gilt-edged copy of the lives of George Washington and John Hancock in one volume. The captain, who had greatly endeared himself to Daniel, made the boy promise solemnly that he would learn to read the book. But Daniel was utterly ignorant of the English language in print and had learned only a few phrases from the captain. The gift of that book made Venice a republic, led to the adoption of sections of the United States Constitution by that state, and carried the principles on into the Constitution of United Italy. That book awakened the sleeping willpower of the industrious, dull boy. Even his mother protested against his waste of time in trying to read English when he was unable to conquer the primers in Italian. But he secured a phrase book and a grammar and paid for them in hard labor. With those crude implements, without a teacher, he determined to read the book. Only one friend, a young priest in St. Mark's Cathedral, gave him any word or look of encouragement. But his candle burned late, and the returning daylight took him to his book to study until time for breakfast. Then came the daily task as a messenger or gondolier. Some weeks or months after he began his seemingly foolish problem, he rushed into his mother's room at night, excited and noisy, shouting to her, "I can read that book! I can read that book." There comes a moment in the life of every successful student of a foreign language when he suddenly awakens to the consciousness that he can think in that language. From that point on, the work is always easy. It must have been a similar psychological change which came into Daniel's intellect. So sudden was it, so amazing the change, that the priest reported the case as a miracle, and the little circle of the poor people who knew the boy looked on him with awe. Consul General Sparks, who represented the United States at Venice in 1848, wrote that Manon often mentions his intellectual new birth, and his success in reading the life of Washington in English spurs him on in the difficult and dangerous undertakings connected with the efforts of Venice to get free. When Daniel began to appreciate his ability to determine, to do, and to persevere, his ambition and hope brought to him larger views of life. He resolved to learn in other ways. He took up school books and mastered them thoroughly, and he became known as a boy who works slowly, but what he does at all, he does well. He soon found helpers among kind gentlemen and secured employment in a bookstall. The accounts of his persistence and his achievements are as thrilling and as fascinating as any finished romance. He managed to get a college education, recognized by Padua University. He studied law and was admitted to the bar when he was 22 years of age. The Austrian judges would not admit him to their courts, and it is said he visited his law office regularly and daily for nearly 2 years before he had a paying client. But his strong will, shown in his perseverance in the presence of starvation, won the respect and love of the daughter of a wealthy patrician. They had been married but a short time when the Austrians confiscated the property of his father-in-law because of suspicions circulated concerning his secret connection with the American. That patriotic secret society was called the Carbonari by the Austrians, and Manon became the leading spirit in the Venetian branch. His will seemed resistless. He refused the presidency in 1832 when revolution shook the tyrannies of all Europe and Venice fell back under Austrian control. But in 1848, he was almost unanimously elected president of the American Republic of Venice. And in his second proclamation before the Great Siege began, he issued a call for the election using, as Consul General Sparks records, the following language as translated. And until the election is held and the officers installed, the following sections of the Constitution of the United States of America shall be the law of the city. He was determined to secure an American republic in Italy. He lived to see it in Venice. Statues of Daniel Manning are seen now in all the great cities of Italy. And when the statue was dedicated at Venice and a city park square named after him, he was called the father of the new kingdom of Italy. General Garibaldi said that when Manning made a draft of the Constitution he proposed for United Italy, he quoted the American Declaration of Independence. The general also said that Manning insisted the government of Italy should be like the American Republic, and that it was difficult to convince Manning that a king, so-called, could be as limited as a president. Even Mazzini, the extremist, and both Cavour and Gavazzi finally came to accept Manning's demands for freedom and equality as they were set forth in the Constitution of the American Republic. Manning did not live to see the final union, nor to see his son a general in the Italian army, but his vigorous will gave a momentum to freedom in Italy which is still pressing the people on to his noblest ideals. What man has done, man can do, and what Manning did can be done again in other achievements. And that's the end of the first part of the third chapter. Make it a great day, and bye for now.